Welcome to Soul Food Wednesday. This is a partnership between Wright City Church of the Nazarene, Wright City Community Food Pantry, and Wesley Smith Chapel Methodist Church. We also want to send out some love to Pastor John, a new pastor in our community at the United Church of Christ here in Wright City. Welcome to our community, and we look forward to sharing ministry with you. Today, our passage comes from Acts 16, verse 16, where Paul and Silas are in jail. For those who are going to be teaching this lesson in our soul food context out in the community, where we take food, scripture, and blessing, you will need your keys to be the sound of change dropping, and a song, something simple like "This Little Light of Mine," something like that. And then children will need to stomp their feet. So like when Paul and Silas, whenever the earthquake comes, those will be the pieces that you'll use at that point in the lesson. And I do know that the weather is not looking great today. So I don't know if you'll get to teach these lessons, but maybe you can refer families to the lesson here. So in Acts 16, we see Paul and Silas. They have freed a child from slavery. She was being used by enslavers, and they were using her because she had a spirit of divination, or she was possessed. And so in this bondage that she lived in, spiritually and physically, she followed them around, sensing that they were filled with the Spirit and that freedom was in their life, this power of freedom. And so Paul got kind of annoyed with her, and so he saved her from that. He cast out that spirit of divination out of her life so that she would have real freedom in her soul and in her life. The freedom came with a cost. Paul and Silas ended up being beaten harshly by those who owned this girl. They could no longer make the money they wished, and so they were sent to jail after being beaten and put in chains. So while they were there in their sufferings, in their deep sufferings, they were praying to God, which is inspirational for those of us that go through sufferings in this time of COVID, to use this as a time of prayer. And as they were praying, they began to sing hymns about midnight. And so in the lesson, this would be a great place to sing a hymn or a song. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. And about the time they were in the middle of all this prayer and singing, a great earthquake came and shook the foundations of the jail, and the doors were opened and their chains fell off. It was beautiful and powerful. And the jailer was so afraid, because usually the jail is full of evil people. But they all stayed still and said, "We're all here." And the jailer was so moved by this great power of God on display, he asked Paul and Silas how he may come to be saved as well. In verse 30 and 31 of that chapter, Paul says, "Believe on Jesus Christ and you will be saved. You and your family," is what is shared there. You and your family. How are you and your family doing right now? Call on the name of the Lord. Sing songs and hymns, and you'll be saved. Not just spiritually, physically, and you will enjoy well-being. So continue to pray the prayer that we're showing you during this time of soul food, which is hands up, surrender my will, my way to that of God, and be a generous people in a tight-fisted world trying to hang on to everything, and then also be a people of mission wherever you go. May people see the testimony of God in your life. Well, my time's up. You have a great time today in the presence of God, wherever that you are, by praying, singing a song, and just being free. Let that be shown as a testimony in our world. God be with you.